And remember our servant Ayyub, when he called to his Lord, "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful." Surah Sa'd 38:41. Have you ever wondered about the true essence of enduring faith? Can a soul remain steadfast when stripped of every earthly comfort, every beloved possession, and every cherished blessing? What happens when the pinnacle of prosperity meets the abyss of tribulation, and the very foundation of one's existence crumbles? Centuries before the final prophecy, in an age steeped in a deep reverence for God, lay the fertile lands of Huran, a region stretching across what is now parts of Syria, Jordan, and Palestine. Here, amidst verdant fields and flowing springs, lived a man whose name would forever echo through the annals of time as a testament to unparalleled resilience and unwavering submission. Prophet Ayyub, Job in Judeo-Christian tradition, peace be upon him. Ayyub, A.S., was not merely a man of wealth. He was a paragon of piety and righteousness. Allah, Sabr, had bestowed upon him an abundance that few could fathom. His lands stretched as far as the eye could see, teeming with countless herds of cattle, sheep, and camels. His barns overflowed with grain, and his fields yielded bountiful harvests. He possessed vast estates, numerous servants, and an influence that commanded respect throughout the region. More precious than his material riches, however, was his blessed family. Allah had graced him with a large and loving household, sons and daughters who were a delight to his eyes and a comfort to his heart. Yet, Ayyub's prosperity was not a source of arrogance or heedlessness. On the contrary, his wealth was a means through which he expressed profound gratitude to his Lord. He was known for his boundless generosity, his hands always open to the poor, the needy, and the wayfarer. His home was a sanctuary for the distressed, and his table was never without guests. He would feed the hungry, clothe the destitute, and alleviate the burdens of the afflicted. His justice was impeccable, his counsel sought by many, and his character pure and unblemished. He was a devout worshiper, constantly engaged in remembrance of Allah, his heart overflowing with thankfulness for every blessing bestowed upon him. He embodied the very essence of true servitude, understanding that all he possessed was a trust from his Creator. His community looked up to him not just for his opulence, but for his profound wisdom and his unwavering devotion. They witnessed his daily acts of charity, his consistent prayers, and his humble demeanor despite his immense stature. He was a beacon of light, guiding his people towards righteousness and reminding them of Allah's infinite blessings and his singular oneness. His life was a living example of how true prosperity is not merely in accumulation, but in distribution, not in hoarding, but in sharing, and not in forgetfulness, but in constant remembrance of the divine. He was, in every sense, a truly blessed servant, honored by Allah in both worldly and spiritual realms. But little did they know that the very depths of Ayyub's faith, the unwavering certainty of his submission, was soon to be tested in a manner unprecedented in human history. The whispers of trials yet to come hung in the air, a shadow unseen, waiting to descend upon this blessed soul. For truly, the greatest trials are often reserved for those closest to Allah. Though the air, once sweet with the scent of blooming orchards and the laughter of children, slowly began to thicken with an unspoken tension. No overt warnings thundered from the heavens, no miraculous signs split the earth. For Ayyub, A.S., and his people were already steeped in faith and gratitude. Their trial was not a consequence of rebellion, but a testament to the boundless wisdom of Allah, and a monumental demonstration of patience for all time. This was a unique test, one born not from defiance, but from the envy of a fallen angel and the divine will, to elevate a servant to an unmatched station of spiritual fortitude. The narrative of Prophet Ayyub differs from many other prophetic accounts where a people rebel against a messenger and face divine retribution. Here, the trial was specifically directed at Ayyub himself to showcase the absolute purity and depth of his tawakkul, reliance on Allah, and sabr, patience. The first whispers of adversity arrived subtly, like a gathering storm. Ayyub ever vigilant in his devotion, perceived these changes not as mere misfortune, but as a gentle turning of the divine wheel. His immense wealth, once a source of comfort and a tool for charity, began to diminish. First, reports came of plagues afflicting his vast herds. Then droughts withered his once bountiful crops. The prosperity that defined his worldly existence started to ebb away, not in a sudden cataclysm, but in a relentless eroding tide. Each loss was a blow, yet Ayyub met them with the same unwavering spirit, uttering, "Indeed, to Allah we belong, and to Him we shall return." His heart, attuned to the divine will, recognized the unfolding of a greater plan. But the true test was yet to come. The most devastating blow struck with the swiftness of lightning. His beloved children, one by one, calamity befell them. Stories narrate that a roof collapsed upon them, or a similar sudden disaster claimed their lives. The vibrant lives that had filled his home with joy were extinguished, leaving an unbearable void. Any parent can comprehend the agony of such a loss, let alone the loss of all one's offspring. This was the ultimate sorrow for a man who cherished his family above all earthly possessions. Yet, even in the face of this profound grief, Ayyub prostrated himself before Allah, tears streaming down his noble face, but his voice resolute, "Allah gave and Allah has taken away. Blessed be the name of Allah." This incredible fortitude, this profound acceptance, was a testament to his unique connection with his Creator. His role as a prophet, unlike those sent to rebellious nations, was to be an exemplar. His message to his community was not one of warning against idolatry, but of demonstrating the profound truth of Sabrun Jamil, beautiful patience. He lived out the very essence of faith during unimaginable hardship, showing that true servitude is not conditional upon comfort or prosperity. He taught through his actions that even when all worldly blessings are withdrawn, the connection with Allah remains. Indeed, it can deepen. The relentless nature of the trial continued. Prophet Ayyub was afflicted with a severe and debilitating illness. His skin became covered with sores, and his body grew weak and emaciated. The disease was so severe and its nature so repellent that eventually even his close friends and relatives began to distance themselves, fearing contagion or unable to bear the sight of his suffering. He was outcast from his home, relegated to a solitary dwelling outside the city, where his only constant companion was his devoted wife, Rama. She remained steadfast, a pillar of strength beside him, working tirelessly to provide for their meager needs, enduring scorn and hardship for the sake of her beloved husband. Scholars explain that this extreme isolation and physical torment were part of the ultimate purification, a means by which Allah intended to elevate Ayyub to a station of incomparable patience. Ibn Kathir mentions in his Qisas al-Anbiya, stories of the prophets, that Ayyub A.S. was tested in his wealth, his children, and his body, leaving only his heart and tongue engaged in the remembrance of Allah. The very essence of his trial was to strip him of all external comforts, leaving him with nothing but his faith. Despite the clear signs of his profound suffering, Ayyub A.S. never complained to Allah. He knew that this was a test from his Lord, and he bore it with dignity and grace. His only solace was in remembrance, in prayer, in glorifying the one who had created him and was now testing him. His suffering was a silent, powerful sermon to those around him, a demonstration of profound submission to divine decree. He understood that this world is fleeting, and the true reward lies in the hereafter for those who endure patiently. And then came the moment of ultimate tension, not born of despair on Ayyub's part, but of a gentle, divinely inspired plea. After years of unfathomable suffering, a whisper, a humble supplication arose from his pure heart, a supplication recorded for eternity in the Quran. And remember our servant Ayyub, when he called to his Lord, "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful." Surah Sad 38:41. This was not a complaint, but a plea for Allah's mercy, a recognition of His ultimate power and compassion. It was the culmination of a patience that transcended human understanding, a turning point that promised an imminent end to the relentless trial, a divine response waiting to unfold. The stage was set for the ultimate demonstration of Allah's mercy and the miraculous reversal of fortune for His most patient servant. The moment Ayyub A.S. uttered his humble plea, "Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful," the heavens stirred. This was not a cry of despair, nor a demand for relief, but an eloquent submission, a recognition of Allah's absolute sovereignty and boundless mercy. It was the prayer of a servant who had exhausted all earthly means, yet whose faith remained unshaken, firmly anchored in the divine. The period of relentless testing, which had stripped him of everything but his profound iman, had finally reached its divinely appointed conclusion. The response from Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, was immediate and overwhelmingly merciful, a testament to His infinite compassion for those who patiently endure for His sake. No final warnings were issued, for Ayyub's people had not rebelled. Rather, this was a moment of profound divine intervention, a glorious demonstration of reward for unparalleled sabr. Strike the ground with your foot. This is a spring for a cool bath and drink. Surah Sad 38:42. With these divine words, a command, simple yet profound, the long night of Ayyub's suffering began to lift. In obedience, he struck the ground with his foot, and miraculously, a gushing spring of cool, clear water erupted. This was not merely a source of hydration, it was a fountain of miraculous healing. Ayyub A.S. washed himself in its waters, and instantly his body was cleansed of all ailments. The debilitating sores vanished, his strength returned, and his skin became radiant and healthy once more beautiful than before his affliction. He drank from the spring, and his inner strength was restored, his soul invigorated. This was the divine judgment, not of destruction upon a defiant people, but of miraculous restoration and immense reward for a patient servant. His previous state of health was not just returned, it was elevated. But the blessings did not stop there. Allah, in His boundless generosity, not only restored what Ayyub A.S. had lost, but multiplied it manifold. and we gave him back his family and a like thereof with them as mercy from us, and a reminder for those of understanding. Surah 38:43. Miraculously, his family, including the children he had lost, was returned to him, and their number was doubled. Some interpretations suggest that his original children were brought back to life, while others state that he was blessed with a new set of children, twice the number of those he had lost. Furthermore, his wealth was restored beyond measure. His fields became more fertile, his herds more numerous, and his barns overflowed with greater abundance than he had ever possessed. He was blessed with riches far exceeding his initial prosperity, all as a direct recompense for his unwavering patience and absolute reliance on Allah. Why did they perish? The concept of perishment in the story of Prophet Ayyub is not about physical destruction for defiance, as seen with nations like Ad or Thamud. Instead, it refers to the perishment of his trials, the suffering, the losses, the agony. These were perished by divine mercy. The fundamental cause of the end of his trial was his exemplary patience and his unwavering conviction in Allah's wisdom and justice. He did not question, he did not despair, he did not turn away. His suffering was a purification, a test of the highest order, and his ultimate turning point was his humble yet profound supplication to Allah, not out of complaint, but out of recognition of Allah's mercy. What was the final turning point? The definitive act that sealed the reversal of his fate was not a dramatic confrontation, but his silent, enduring sabr, culminating in that single, heartfelt prayer. This prayer, devoid of impatience or accusation, was the key that unlocked the floodgates of divine mercy. It was the moment he surrendered his entire being to Allah, despite years of unimaginable agony, reaffirming his complete reliance on the most merciful. And so, the curtains fell on Ayyub's trial, not with the tragic end of a rebellious nation, but with the glorious vindication of a servant who exemplified the highest virtues of faith. His story is a powerful, eternal sermon. It teaches that Allah tests those He loves most, not to punish, but to elevate and purify. It teaches that true strength lies not in worldly possessions or perfect health, but in the unshakable conviction of the heart. Centuries passed, but the lesson remained eternally relevant. Ayyub's story is a profound spiritual reflection on Allah's justice and mercy. His justice is manifest in His testing of the righteous, refining them like gold. His mercy is boundless for those who persevere, rewarding them beyond imagination. The ultimate outcome of such unwavering adherence to Allah's will is not just earthly restoration, but an elevated status in the sight of Allah and a promise of immense reward in the hereafter. Ayyub's narrative stands as a perpetual beacon, illuminating the path of patience for all who seek closeness to the divine. A timeless reminder that after every hardship, there is ease, and after every test comes the most beautiful reward for those who truly submit.